Hello everyone, and welcome to the Lighting That Sells in Supermarkets webcast. My name is Olga Cherepenina, Product Marketing Manager at LEDiL, and I will be your host for today. Many of you attending today have already discovered that while lighting is a key element of any retail environment, supermarkets and hypermarkets can be a bit challenging, due in part to their relative size. But difficult does not have to mean impossible. At LEDiL, we have allocated a lot of time and resources to address this very problem. And by collaborating with luminaire manufacturers and supermarket owners, have designed a range of solutions that will make products shine in their own right. For some of you, a webcast presenter today needs no introduction, as you have probably met him on more than one occasion. For those of you who have not yet had the pleasure, then I'm happy to introduce LEDiL's very own lighting guru, Tero Mäkinen. Local to Salo, but global in thinking, Tero is a leading innovator in the development of optics for the LED industry, and behind many new ideas on how to use light more effectively. Together with our partners, he is constantly striving to develop new optic concepts for end-use applications in the hope of working towards better global lighting solutions. Most recently, Tero has been actively sharing his knowledge on good lighting practices with global lighting community in seminars around the world. Today, he will walk you through best practice in general, AL and high bay lighting when using linear, track and high bay luminaires, and tell you how to direct light for the right effect in super and hypermarkets. During the webcast, you can send questions and Tero will try to answer them at the end of the webcast. So without any more from me, here is Tero.
Thank you, Olga, and also on my behalf, welcome everybody to listen to this LEDiL webcast. And today's topic, like Olga mentioned, is supermarket lighting. And everybody knows what a supermarket lighting is. It's linear lighting made with the fluorescent tubes, relatively not interesting. The thing is that actually with the introduction of LED lights, the situation no longer is such. Instead, we have a lot more interesting and actually more profitable ways of illuminating your supermarkets. So it's not only fluorescent tubes or LED tubes anymore. It's supermarket lighting is not only about the illumination, but it's also about emotion in the shopping, even in such mundane places as supermarkets sometimes can be. So basically, lighting is a fantastic tool to increase your sales. Lighting actually is one of the key selling tools in the supermarkets nowadays when it's designed in the right way. It helps to build the brand, it brings the space alive, and you can actually enhance your brand image, and it has a big impact on how the store and products inside the store actually look like. It also helps your customers to guide themselves around supermarket. It makes you can use lighting to create a narrative path across the supermarket hallways. It helps to navigate in the shops and malls, making the shopping experience much more pleasant for everybody. It also can be used for encouraging purchases, makes the products look more appealing, helps customers induces customers to do more buying on the ad hoc, and therefore it increases sales. It also allows for more enjoyable shopping experience by creating the right ambiances, which will make store look more comfortable, and actually you can create a supermarket that really will make customers to want to stay longer there and return to shop again. It also, as all the solid state lighting technologies, it helps to save energy. That's not anymore the first thing, because as in the same next slide, we have a couple of studies which will show you that actually with the good lighting you can earn a lot more by increased sales than actually you can save on the energy cost alone. So let's go to the next slide. We have 3 different studies here. The first one on the left, marked with the green figures, is from the 72 store mall in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This shopping mall installed a new lighting system, having a little bit more light with a better efficiency. The entire appearance of the shopping mall was brightened, and actually more people started shopping. So over to the first 2-year period after the installation of the new lighting system, we can find out that the traffic inside the mall was increased by 33%, and that increased traffic was leading into increase in sales by 38%. And overall, the profit of the lighting installation was increased, or profit of the shopping mall was increased by 19%. A second study is the illuminated display end cap in the health and nutrition store. And so in this case, the entire shop lighting wasn't renovated. Instead, the shop owner just installed this display at the end of the shelves, which was illuminated in a very pleasant way. And that end cap actually increased the number of the visitors entering into that shop inside the shopping mall by 76%. So you can use light also to lure the customers into your shop. A third study or third example is more on the energy savings. So in this case, we had a relatively large lighting system change to improve the aesthetics and saving energy in the mall in Richmond, Virginia. And we can see that in this shopping mall, by installing a new luminaires and replacing a 6-year-old lighting system, the annual energy savings were more than $20,000 in 1 year. But what's actually interesting is that at the same time, because of the better lighting, the sales was increased by $1 million in 1 year. And this actually reduced the payback time to less than 12 months. So as you can see, you really cannot look at lighting as an expense, but rather you should be looking at it as a way to increase your sales and profitability. So with these examples, we can easily see that investment on the new LED lighting systems, especially the one with the quality optics, is actually making a lot of sense, and it's really a profitable investment in most of the supermarkets. So what kind of lighting we actually need in the supermarket that will meet these requirements, not only saving energy but also helping to build a brand and creating more pleasurable shopping environment. We have identified a couple of different concepts and created some luminaire concepts to meet with these. So traditionally, supermarkets have been lit with these linear lights, and we didn't see any point on breaking this tradition. Instead, we wanted to revoke it into something more interesting, more pleasant for the better shopping experience. We only identified a few different ways of illuminating supermarket, and we will look at these more in detail shortly. The first one is a general lighting. In this case, we are more focused on providing general illumination over the entire supermarket area without creating so much focal points. This can be considered as a basic form of lighting. Then we have another concept which is a little bit more sophisticated. We talk about eye lighting. This is actually getting a lot of traction in the US, and we start to see also more big supermarket chains in Europe making the change into eye lighting instead of installing general lighting in their supermarkets. And in eye lighting, the principle is that we illuminate the aisles where the people walk between the shelves, or even better, we illuminate the goods on the shelf and we create these, we make these shelves to be the focal point of the entire supermarket. And then a third concept, because not always your supermarket need to be fancy. Sometimes you just want it to be lit in the most energy efficient way. We also introduce one concept which is done more in line with the generic high bay principles. But let's start with general lighting first. Typically, in retail lighting, we require at least minimum 300 lux on the supermarket areas. In many cases, the illuminance level can be a lot higher, sometimes even 1000 lux. And generally on the cash register checkout areas, we require a little bit higher level of illuminance for a couple of different reasons. The first is obvious, the visual task that people are executing in the checkout areas, that is more demanding. Therefore, we need more light in order to work efficiently. The other reason is that we also always want to guide the visitors in the shop. And one of the most annoying thing in a big supermarket is to actually the need to figure out where the cash register checkout areas are. Where do I go to pay? You don't want to look for that because supermarkets still need to be efficient. So higher illuminance level in the checkout areas actually lead people towards the light. And partly for traditional reasons, linear luminaires are extremely popular in the supermarket. They are also very practical because they naturally fit very well into illuminating big surface areas and provide good uniformity. Whether linear lights have to be continuous or semi-continuous, that is more a topic of taste. Both are good, and with both ways you can actually achieve good results. Anyway, we will look more in detail into this. And let's start with the continuous row luminaires. In this example, we wanted to use our Linda optics, and we chose 60-degree Linda WW, which is extrusion optic. It's available in the lengths as long as 6 meters, so it's very well suitable for the continuous row luminaires where you really want to reduce those gaps created by the seams between the luminaires, and you want to create this very nice, impressive looking modern lighting installation. And Linda is providing a very nice uniform illumination over the wide areas. It's also very narrow, so you can create a very narrow luminaires, as narrow as 26-27 millimeters, and you can create this airy, nice atmosphere using these almost discrete luminaires. You can, but the narrowness of the luminaires can be sometimes it's a double-sided sword. If you have a high intensity levels coming from the small luminaires, you can also easily introduce glare unless you design the lighting really well. With the continuous luminaires, you can actually reduce the lighting levels of the luminaire because luminaires are spread more evenly over the wider areas, and this will help you to reduce the UGR and control the glare of the luminaire, making more pleasant appearance. We are also using our Alice aluminum reflectors with the spotlights. So in the behind of the shop, you can see the few track-mounted spotlights illuminating the premium goods and the goods that we wanted to create as a focal point. Another way of creating general lighting in the supermarket is to use standalone linear luminaires for the eye lighting. And here we didn't choose the continuous linear luminaires. Instead, we wanted to use our Florence Z90 optics. They are 90-degree batwing light distribution designed for the good surface uniformity. And in this case, we are using 4 Florences in the row, which is creating a luminaire relatively same length as a traditional fluorescent tube. So the luminaires don't look too modern or will not intimidate more traditionally thinking customers visiting the shop. And we chose to use this symmetrical 90-degree beam because even though we are making eye lighting, we are not yet, we are still kind of in the realm between eye lighting and general lighting. We also illuminate with the symmetrical lighting, we also illuminate the floor, and the shelf lux levels typically are roughly about half of what the floor is having. If we want to emphasize the shelves themselves, we can do the same eye lighting by using a double asymmetric light distribution, such as here. Now we switch back to Linda because we wanted the luminaires to be as small as possible. And we have this continuous row, very narrow extrusion luminaires with the double asymmetric light distribution. So now we have typically about 600 to 750 lux in this case on the shelves, and with only 300 lux on the floor level. So the shelf really shine out and they really jump out from the supermarket. This will bring goods on the display much more pleasing to the customers visiting the supermarket. And also it helps to reduce the glare because we are no longer shining the brightest light towards the eyes of the visitor in the eyes of the shoppers. Instead, we are using this high intensity light to emphasize the goods on the display. Typically in supermarkets, you have to be a little bit careful about this accent light, general light difference because you don't want to have a huge accents. You more want to be a little bit on the safe side in terms of contrast. And so these were quite nice examples of the luminaires used for the linear lighting in the supermarkets, both general lighting and eye lighting. Let's look at the luminaires themselves a little bit more detail. So before we, in these few examples I just showed you, we had Linda and Florence 3R optics being used, but we actually have 5 different lens families, very popular for the supermarket and having a little bit different design aspects. So like I've mentioned before in the previous sessions and seminars, lighting is always about designing around compromises and making the right compromises. We all want to have something which is highly efficient, very powerful, and low cost or suitable cost, adequate cost. But in practice, you have to select 2 out of these 3, and then you can forget the third one. So whether you optimize for the highest possible achievable quality of the light and pleasant appearance of the optics, or you want to design a luminaire which is more cost optimized, we have a solution available. So let's look at these 5 different families a little bit more in detail. And the first luminaire example we created using our Linda optics. Like I mentioned before, it's an extrusion lens for the seamless continuous installations. It has a great color reproduction, helps to reducing the color or angle issues of the LEDs. It's also offering a very good surface uniformity. And it's a free pitch design. So this means that the LEDs on the PCB can be on any pitch. You can freely select the quantity of the LEDs in your PCB design. This has a big benefit of making it very easy for you to create different lumen packages or different lumen versions of your luminaires. So you can design a one standard PCB where you populate with the different amount of LEDs. This will reduce the cost of the luminaire, and it will help. It will increase the modularity and help you to select the right output, correct light output level of your luminaires. It also is a very high efficiency, over 90% optical efficiency. So this will help to achieve really high levels of lumen per watt electro-optical efficiency of the luminaires. And it's also the most compact lenses. Small is beautiful, they say, and LINDA is only 26mm wide. We have 7 different beam versions available, so all the symmetrical beams needed for general lighting in the supermarkets, and including single and double-sided asymmetric, suitable for emphasis on the shelves in the aisle lighting. Typically, the lumen output levels of the luminaires realized with the LINDA are somewhere between 3,000 to 6,000 lumen per meter. But like I mentioned, you can easily adjust the lumen levels by varying the number of the LEDs in your luminaire. And you can also use this as a tool to reduce the glare and UGR levels in the more sensitive installations, such as, for example, if your supermarket has very dark decoration inside, darker gray ceilings or walls. Next linear luminaire example we realized is done with the Claudia optics. Claudia is specifically designed for the supermarket. We are offering it on a very nice price point. It's most cost efficient and offering a very good overall performance. Has also very great good UGR performance. The difference between LINDA and Claudia, the biggest difference is that the Claudia is not a continuous design. So the single lenses are 1 foot length, and we also have individual optics under each. You can use either single or 2 LEDs. Claudia is designed to work with the 2 LED clusters. This has a downside that you will have these points visible, of course, although the overall lens surface is somewhat lit, so the points are not distracting. But it has a huge benefit that you can actually use it for if you use a different type of LEDs under each lens. We are doing good color mixing here, so you can do tunable white. You can also easily realize high CRI versions of your luminaire. And Claudia is still a relatively compact size, has only 3 centimeters width. And again, we have 90 degrees, 60 degrees symmetrical beams and double-sided asymmetric beam available off the shelf at the moment. Then if you look at the third luminaire, this is done with the LINDA. LINDA is same length as the Claudia, but it's a little bit wider, and it's designed to have a uniform and very comfortable to eyes lens surface. So we are concealing the dots almost completely. It's very versatile, having wide range of light distributions, including also elliptical to do some cove lighting or wall washing installations. LINDA is very easy to install into luminaire frame because of its integrated clip installation types. The lens basically just snaps into a luminaire frame and snaps in place into luminaire, and the lens also clips into itself in a way that you can create almost seamless continuous designs. Lina is designed for the pitchless PCBs. So again, you have a great flexibility in terms of different lumen packages, and you can easily vary the lumen output of your luminaire. It has a very good surface uniformity. There is almost no dots visible. So in general, it's very fantastic optic. Linda is also a little bit wider than Linda. So you have light coming from the wider surface. So you have a benefit of lower UGR. And if you want to really reduce your UGR, you can switch linear GC into the same luminaire. In this case, if you have designed your PCB for the linear GC, you will not have no problem at all. But if you're using pitchless modular PCBs, then you may need to change the PCB into the one which is designed for the linear GC. Because linear GC has individual optics for each LED, you may start to think that, okay, what's the difference into Claudia? Because the length is the same, the width is almost the same. The difference is that the linear GC, we are using a little bit extra material to actually conceal the dots and make the surface more uniform and to really reduce the glare. So in any case, we are less than UGR 22, which makes this perfect perfect solution for the high brand shopping malls and supermarket areas. And like linear itself, linear GC is very fast to install. It snaps into luminaire in the same way as linear, and you can actually switch. Considering that PCB design, you can, if you have done that right, you can switch between linear and linear GC freely without redesigning your luminaire. Then the fifth one is Florence, which is excellent solution to be used with the standard PCBs. So Florence is designed for these 3-row Jaga PCBs. You have a huge selection of PCBs available from almost any vendor on the market. It has the market-leading color uniformity, visual comfort, and glare control. There are many lenses like this available in the market, but the original Florence is actually designed to have the best surface uniformity and the best quality of the light without any color or angle issues, without creating any visual discomfort by point glare, for example. And we have 6 beams available in the Florence 3R range. There's again symmetrical beams and single-sided, double-sided asymmetric beams. And Florence is especially suitable for luminaires that are designed to replace the original fluorescent tube installations. By its form factor, it fits very well into the place where the fluorescent tubes were used before. Also, the lumen output makes it very suitable for this kind of renovation projects. So if you look at these 5 different linear optics targeted for supermarkets, in summary, side by side, we can see there's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences, and these differences are caused by the fact that we are optimizing these optics into different use cases. We want to make sure that every luminaire manufacturer have the suitable optic regardless of the project they are working on. Still, we want to standardize things a little bit to make the life of the lighting designers a little bit easier. And we do this by standardizing the beams we design. As you can see, we have more or less the same beam angles, similar type of light distributions available available across all of these optics. And this will give you a fantastic toolbox that you can use to find a solution for almost any project, regardless of the requirements. Whether we are talking about high-end luxury shopping mall area, or we are talking about your next door 7-Eleven or Aldi, or whichever is your supermarket brand nearby you. I don't know them, all of them. And a couple of references our customers have executed using these optics in the supermarkets. The first example is from Spar market in South Africa. Design was done by LLSA. They were using our Florence 1R optics. This is a little bit older linear optic design, still very suitable for the supermarkets, but basically you can achieve similar designs using Linda optics. You can use even Claudia or Linea optics for the similar results. And as you can see, we have a discontinuous linear lighting in the most of the shops, but because the luminaires are providing very uniform general lighting, they are not creating any distracting beam patterns on the walls. The general appearance of this shop is actually looking quite nice, looking very calm, making it look almost like a place where you really want to spend a little bit more time just because it's so fun. And yes, we are talking about mundane supermarket in this case, the place where you normally just stop quickly after work to buy your groceries. But anyhow, why not? Such a normal common day things can be also pleasant. The next reference is aisle lighting. So here we are not talking about general lighting anymore. Instead, we are focusing the light on the aisles, which, as I mentioned, gives you a great possibilities on the energy saving and creating focal points on the shelves, which is exactly what is done here. So if you look at the examples more in detail, you can see that the brightest area in this picture is actually the shelves themselves and the goods which are on sale on the shelves. And this will help customers to orientate in the supermarket. It helps them to realize and find the products they are looking, and it also makes them more prone to buy things on ad hoc basis. So they actually spend more money in the supermarkets, which is increasing sales, making everybody happy. And again, using Florence 1R, double asymmetric light distribution, but you can also achieve exactly similar luminaires using, for example, Linda. And in this case, because we have continuous luminaires, why not go for 6-meter custom length extrusion, the same case, because it will simplify your installation work a lot. But supermarket can be a lot more than just the linear lights. We can also do similar effects with using, for example, spotlights with the reflectors, like in this case. Here's a supermarket. We did kind of a double asymmetric lighting design, but we did it using a symmetrical narrow spotlights or track lights with the reflectors. And the reflectors used in here are Alice reflectors. That's one of the latest LEDiL designs released just a few months ago. It has a benefit of offering easily adjustable lighting system. So if something in the shop is going to change, you get some new products, or you want to redesign your supermarket, relocate some things. You don't need to leave the new things on the shelves in the old lighting. You can also emphasize them and make them a focal points, making it easier for customers to notice the goods on the shelves. The Alice reflectors also offer very nice low glare. The UGR in this installation is less than 10. And because we are focusing the light on the shelves, there is no reflection on the floor. You cannot see the reflection of the luminaires themselves. You don't have any annoying bright spots on the floor. And it's very easy to adjust into different aisle sizes. And here we have a 1000 lumen on each reflector. The spacing between the track lights is 0.5 meter. That's a bit tight, but you need, with the reflectors, you actually need that to achieve good uniformity on the shelves. While if you want to cost down the installation, you can also reduce the number of luminaires, but then you have to realize that the uniformity is going to suffer a bit. And if you look at the Alice reflectors in detail, they are available in the 3 different sizes, 50, 70, and 110 millimeters, to adjust into or to accommodate into a different typical power levels of the luminaire. In the HID or halogen lamp era, we were talking about 10 watt spotlights, 15, 10, 20, and 50 watt spotlights. And the typical lumen outputs of the luminaires realized with these optics actually fit quite well into those. We also have collaborated with TE, Tyco Electronics. So they have a Zaga holders for COBs that are designed to work with these reflectors. And because reflectors are made from aluminium, they have very high thermal resistance. This gives you a little bit more flexibility on the lumen range in your luminaire. You can overdrive your COBs depending on the project requirements. And they are available in 4 different symmetrical beams that you can also use to create asymmetric beams as shown in the previous examples. And here's an example of the customer shop realized with the track lights. This project was in Dubai, done by Italian company named Quattro B. And in this supermarket, as you can see, they are using 2 spotlights or 2 track lights on the aisle, at the center of the aisle, and the focal point of these reflectors is on the shelves. So again, the shelves are the brightest. The goods on the shelves are the brightest spot on the entire shop area. They also used higher power spotlights to create focal points into areas with bigger value, such as vegetable areas and place where you have like a little bakery. And overall, the appearance of the luminaire is still quite nice, light and airy. Then with the smart optics, we also wanted to create something which is totally different than before, because with the LEDs, why you want to limit yourself into a fluorescent or tube, old traditional fluorescent tube or track light form factor, because with the sophisticated optics, you can actually do so much more. So we decided to create this track module that has a very high output and has a double asymmetric light distribution that you can actually customize and vary very easily. And this is actually quite trending concept. Typically it's done with the reflectors, but here we saw a lens approach The idea is that you will have the same light output and illumination than long and big linear luminaires have, but you have it with the more compact size and the longer spacing. And potentially this new type of luminaire offers a very low glare and high concentration of the shelves with better vertical illumination. You can also achieve a little bit wider aisle width using this kind of luminaire. And the optics we used here is a wall washer optic from our new Olga family. And we get 10,000 lumen output from a single luminaire. So basically you can use this one luminaire to replace 3 meters of linear luminaire. And there is a 2 meter spacing between the luminaires. And because the light output of this wall washing optics is actually asymmetric, and it's designed to create a vertical square beam pattern on the vertical surfaces, shelves in this case, you can use it with the wider spacing. So even 2 meter spacing between the luminaires is not creating any problems with the uniformity. So we had these high output track luminaires. The power used is still roughly about 70 watts. So your overall power consumption in the shop is not going to be too high. You can use the cost-effective 50/50 LEDs and the compact size of the luminaire with the adjustable beam, low glare. So you clearly have some technical benefits going for this kind of track module design. On the other hand, you may have some conservatists protesting that it's not looking like a fluorescent tube. Yes, that's the downside of the luminaire design. Other than that, it's a very fantastic. Then we create another track module, again, a little bit contemporary looking. Here, the design goal of this luminaire was to reduce the glare. So instead of having narrow passages of the light or narrow light emitting surface, we spread the light on the wider areas. So this is kind of a linear luminaire, but it's squeezed into rectangular non-linear format. And if this is mounted on the track, it can be rotated, tilted for more freedom on the illumination. You can achieve really low glare appearance. You can still have a moderately high lumen outputs. You can use this basically on the same spacing as with the previous track module. And you have the benefit of standard PCBs available from every distributor and vendor, market-leading color uniformity, and very good visual comfort, because the light is being emitted from the really wide 30 by 80 centimeter surface. Now, some of you might be thinking that, okay, that's a similar case as a diffusive opaque white cover. You can do the same luminaire with this. Actually, you cannot, or you can achieve the same light output performance, light distribution, and you can achieve the similar pleasant appearance with the white diffusive covers, but you cannot achieve the same control of the light, and therefore your efficiency is going to suffer. And so here are the light distributions and examples in the cases we did in these few design examples, design concepts. So you can do your luminaire, you can do your lighting design in the supermarket in many different ways. You can have either continuous or discontinuous linear luminaires. Again, it's whether you choose one or the other, that's more matter of the taste, and I'm not going to criticize or make any preferences in this case. Sometimes you want to mimic old fluorescent tubes. In some cases, you want to go into more contemporary, long lines of light in the luminaire in the supermarket. You also have option of different light distributions, whether you want to use a symmetrical or double asymmetric. Again, it's a preference. Your preferences depend on the project requirements. Sometimes, because the way the fluorescent tubes were illuminating the supermarkets, the symmetrical 90-degree light distribution is more traditional way of illuminating the supermarkets. Although double asymmetric light distribution has been proven to create more sales in the supermarket and also reduce glare and make the shopping experience a little bit more exciting. And you can use linear luminaires or you can use track lights. Track lights have benefit of having a lot more versatile light distribution, making it easier to adjust lighting after the installation if that is needed. This may be required in some projects where you have to design a lighting into a shop that actually sells goods which are seasonal. So you have to change the lighting for summertime, from summertime to wintertime. And then you can have these new ideas like the two luminaire examples we showed later on, which will be beneficial in some circumstances. And definitely they are always new, and like we know, everybody is always interested about everything new. And I mentioned in the beginning that sometimes you just want to have light and you want to do something which is easy to install, cost efficient, very fast. You get this project, you have maybe 2-3 weeks time to realize it, and then you have to move on. Or the customer don't want to invest on anything fancy. Traditional high bay lights are quite convenient also for hypermarkets with the higher ceilings. So in the bigger supermarkets, hypermarkets, the ceiling height can be 8 meters or even beyond. And in those cases, if you realize the illumination with the linear luminaires, you have to make the pendant luminaires. That will be more work on the installation, more work on the design. Instead, you can use just conventional high bay lights, such as here we are using our Victoria lenses, providing 26,000 lumen output from the single luminaires. You have 160 lenses, each will have cost-efficient 2835 LED package. So this is a really powerful, cost-efficient luminaire, but don't expect it to do any shelf lighting or anything fancier. For general lighting over the bigger hypermarkets, that is perfect solution. Victoria also has benefits of offering IP protection up to IP67. This may be important in some cases. Sometimes you have open stores where actually you just have a roof and most of the walls are missing. In some warm countries, you have may have some problem with the humidity. In those cases, it's beneficial to have IP, at least moderate IP protection on the luminaire. It will help luminaires to last longer. And Victoria is also compatible with the clustering. That's a technology I mentioned before with the Claudia. So you have the same benefit of having a highly flexible lumen output. You can vary the lumen output of this luminaire easily from 10,000 lumen all the way up to 40-50,000 lumen, depending on your project requirement, luminaire spacing, glare requirements, installation height, etc. And the beam patterns we have available in the Victoria family at the moment are 90 and 60 degree. You also have benefit of having a little bit extra space in the middle that you can use for some additional designs. You can use this space to include PIR sensors for presence detection. You can even use it for mounting some cameras integrated into luminaire. And all of these facts make actually Victoria quite interesting option for bigger hypermarkets. So this was a brief run through on the concepts that we have created. We have still a few minutes of time in this webcast, and we have some few questions. So let's look into that. What do you have, Olga?
Thank you, Tero, for a fascinating presentation. So if we can get to all the questions in the limited time we have, so then Tero has promised to provide his answers afterwards. So the first question is Linda compatible with Nichia module?
I'm actually, well, it's a good question. So Linda is compatible with Nichia mid-power LEDs, and you can use basically any Nichia mid-power LEDs with the Linda. So the modules using Nichia LEDs, you are perfectly fine. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the module coming from Nichia, so maybe I need to study a little bit more, and I try to come back on this question later on offline.
Okay, the next one is if we use adjustable CCD model in linear lenses, can they still keep their quality?
The short answer, yes. So you have a multiple different color temperature LEDs, and you use it with the linear lenses, which are designed to do color mixing, such as Claudia or linear lenses. There you can actually use a cluster of LEDs under each lens, and you can easily realize a module which has an adjustable CCD without sacrificing light quality.
Do you produce ELIS for BGB and Hekla connectors?
Alice is completely Alice is designed to be as connector agnostic as possible. So you use a luminaire to mount the reflector into your track light. So the Alice is mounted into your track body, not into connectors. So as long as you have a connector that has a profile that is low enough, you can use it with the Alice. Alice is also having a little bit flexibility on the focal point. So the beam quality is not going to be drastically reduced, even if it's a few millimeters off focus. So my recommendation and short answer, most likely yes, but your mileage may vary. So I recommend you to test Alice with the connector of your choice at the first point.
Will LEDiL linear optics support tunable white as it becomes more widely used in supermarkets in the future?
We will have, actually we already have linear optics which are supporting tunable white, like I mentioned, Claudia, designed to mix the color of the two different CCD LEDs under each optics. So we will have side by side the linear optics which are supporting tunable white and the linear optics which are designed for the optimum performance with just a single color LEDs. We have noticed that there is a trend of tunable white becoming more and more important because it's guiding customers' purchase behavior, and you can actually affect customers' purchase activity by selecting the right color, light color for the time of day and the situation. So in the future, I'm almost certain that we will introduce even more families designed to be used also with the tunable white LEDs.
What is your best glare-free solution for supermarket lighting?
Just a single solution. We have more than one, but which one is the best? The best is always a little bit dangerous because, like I mentioned, the good lighting is art of making the right compromises. You cannot have single best except when you know all the different project requirements, and depending on the project requirements, your best varies also. So if you want to have something that is glare optimized, then Claudia is a very good choice. Even Linda, although it's very small and narrow, is very easy to your eyes and having a very low glare when you are using it with lower intensity levels per distance of the luminaire. But Claudia is a very good choice. Florence 3R is a very good choice, and of course Linear GC. So if I have to choose best, I would go with these three and then select one of these three depending on the project requirements.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about using Molly for ale lighting?
Why not? It's a free world. And Molly has, there is like in this webcast I showed you the reflector solution, the track light solution done with the reflectors. So there is nothing stopping you of using Molly instead of reflectors. Molly is offering a little bit few important benefits compared to the reflectors. So it's doing quite a nice job for concealing the LES of the COBs, and you don't have so it's less prone for the point glare. Instead, you have this very nice, large, traditional Fresnel surface, which is uniformly illuminated over the entire light exit window. So it's a little bit different style solution, but it's equally working, and it has a few benefits that reflectors don't have. On the other hand, reflectors have few benefits, especially with the alleys, of having perhaps a little bit lower glare compared to Molly. So again, apples and oranges, both are edible, but they are different taste and maybe for different purpose.
Okay, and the last quick question is that can you supply Linda extrusion in different lengths?
Short answer, yes, we can. So the standard length of Linda is, we have two different standard lengths. There is a global 1.14 meters, and then we have a 48-inch long for American markets. In addition, we can supply Linda in any custom lengths of up to 6 meters. And if you want to order a custom length Linda, please contact your local LEDiL sales representative. And basically, you just need to order codes marked flex, and then you agree the length that you actually require with your local LEDiL sales. If you want to know where to find local LEDiL sales, you go to our website, and we have contacts page over there where we are listing globally for each territory LEDiL sales and also LEDiL distributors. You can find all the contact information over there. But I think most of you guys already know who is your local LEDiL sales.
Thank you, Tero. So it only remains for me to thank you for your participation and let you know we will send you an email with a link to the recording in case you want to listen again. Have a great day, evening, and goodbye for now.
Thank you, and also thank you from my side, and see you somewhere soon, hopefully. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.